The Baseball Together Network presents the Seattle Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Jewell Young. And now, Seattle Baseball Together.
Welcome to this month's therapy session with the Seattle Baseball Together podcast, baseball family. I am one of your hosts. My name is Brad, and as you would expect, I'm here with our guy Jewell. Welcome, Jewell. How are you this fine evening?
I am not sexy. Very boring.
Not sexy and very boring. As you can see, those of you watching on YouTube, we're both sporting our not sexy shirts. Let's just get that out of the way right now, Jewell. You can hop on 9plusus.com, spell it out, NINEPLUSUS.com, or you can click the link down in the description that will take you straight to the Seattle collection, and you can get your very own not sexy shirt, a tribute to our guy Marco Gonzalez, and then make sure you use code CPOD, SEAPOD, to get 15% off of that order just for you, the listeners of the Seattle Baseball Together podcast. So Jewell and I are feeling not sexy. The Mariners are feeling a little more sexy.
A little bit.
Just a little bit more sexy over the last few days. Just to give you a point of reference for where we're at today, it is Sunday, May 29th. So we're coming off of a little bit of a disappointing loss against the Astros today. 2-1. This is the thing about that, though, Jewell. Losing to the Astros 2-1, there's no such thing as a moral victory, but you might call it a moral victory. Right?
I would. Marco pitched another, his fifth game this month, I think, and he's had 4 out of 5 really good starts this month. He's probably, I'd have to look, but he's arguably been our best pitcher during the month of May. Him and Flexen.
Gilbert's been really good too.
Gilbert's been solid
and
too.
And the thing is, like, you look at Flexen's numbers, like, that dude hasn't been good. He had one bad outing, but his big problem has been he has not gotten any run support.
No run support
until this weekend. Yeah, when they blew up against the Astros. So that happened. Took 2 out of 3 from the Astros. That is a really big deal, I feel.
That's a win going into June.
Yeah, I didn't think going into this series I was going to be disappointed not getting the sweep because, let's just talk about this real quick. We'll get into this more later, but I'm sorry, we're not going to win the game with the bases loaded and even 1 out, down 1, with Mike Ford coming to the plate. I guess the bases weren't loaded for Ford, but with Mike Ford coming to the plate with runners on second and third, and then the driver of the struggle bus himself, Luis Torrens, coming up with 1 out with the bases loaded. He had an all right day before that because he was the one who broke up the no-no, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because Luis Garcia was tossing a no-no. Torrens was the one who broke it up, and I guess that's all he was good for because then he grounded into a double play to end the game. I was like, dude, that is the one thing you cannot do in this situation. I would rather have you strike out and get to the top of the order than ground into a double play right there. Just get the ball out of the infield too. Make contact, get it in the air, get it in the outfield grass, because then you've got a chance for a guy to tag and score, or everybody stays put. And like I said, you get to the top of the order. Like, that is the one thing you cannot do.
Be a big league hitter, because big league hitters, game on the line, you're down by 1, bases loaded, you have 1 out.
Yeah, you've got to give the next guy a chance.
You got to at least give that guy a chance from third to score.
Yeah. Yep. So that was really frustrating. But like we said, somewhat of a moral victory, taking the series there. And it was only a 2-1 game. That's a big deal against the Astros because that team can hit and has historically hit Seattle pitching well. Not so much in Seattle, but nonetheless, it went the way that it went Seattle's way. And there were a lot of really good things that we saw because Jewell and I were talking before we came on the air, and I counted at one point this season, or this month in May, the Mariners lost 15 of 20 games. 15 of 20, lost 6 in a row at the very beginning of the month. And it was just like, oh no, here we go again. And Jewell, my question for you with all of this, everything we saw this month, was it ever hard for you to stay optimistic about this team going forward?
Oh, absolutely.
Today was just a bad day. This is just a bad month. They're going to pull out of it. Was there ever a point where you felt like, no, they're not going to pull out of it?
Yeah. And then just, yeah, absolutely. And then, just kind of looking at last year, because a lot of the players have come on and said we were in the same spot last year.
Uh-huh.
So on May 1st of 2021, 28 games in, they were 15-13. Again, we came into May above 500 as well this year. We came out of May last year at 28-27. But so that means we lost.
But that was still, though, that was 7 more games. Right now, if you look at 48 games in, just like we're at right now,
48, we were 22-26 last year.
Exactly.
Coming
2 games
off
better.
A
2 games better than where they're at right now.
4, 5, 6 game losing streak.
Yeah.
And losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 of 12 before that.
Yeah. Yeah. So kind of in the same spot. Like I said, 2 games back of the record last year, and things look actually better now than they did at this point last year because we haven't been no hit twice. Knock on wood.
Yes, that's a big deal. I feel the morale's coming around. I feel this team, they had a good April. The Mariners are always good in April. That's one thing that we can count on as Mariners fans is the Mariners will always be good in April. They will always be really bad in May. And they will figure it out from there.
Yes. June, I feel like, is the month where you can tell who this team is going to be going forward. If they start to turn it on, they start to win games in June, then we can really be optimistic for the rest of the season. But I feel like if they're not winning games in June, if it looks like they're continuing to lose at a horrendous clip like they did in May, we can expect some guys to get traded in July.
No, I would absolutely agree with that. And then just for context, last year, because that's what the players are saying, a lot of this team was here last year. They were
the same
even
problems.
500 starting on June 1st. They lost on June 1st. They were even 500. End of June, they were 42-39.
There you go.
So they went from 28-28 to 42-39. So we'll see. We'll see what June brings because we'll see.
Well, and here's the other thing too is that the beginning of June is going to bring. I guess we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, going into next month already. But we'll end here and then we'll go into what we wanted to talk about.
True.
Starting of June, playing the Orioles, who we've said on the big show several times that the Orioles, they're not a good team, but they're pests. And I feel like if you can beat the Orioles, which they're a team you're supposed to beat, if you can beat them, you're going to be okay. Because they've been giving those teams above them in the AL East, they've been giving the Yankees fits.
Oh, didn't
the Yankees had the best record in baseball. A few weeks ago. Yeah, and the Yankees had the best record in baseball. So they're gonna go to Baltimore and they're gonna have to battle.
Back to the East Coast. Back to the East Coast.
I know.
A fun fact that I heard last night on the broadcast is that the Mariners have not played the Angels yet.
No, they haven't.
Because they don't play on the East Coast.
Pretty much, yeah. Like the Mariners' schedule has been so screwy this season so far. Played in Texas. Actually, no. Yeah, played in Texas, but only played the Astros there. And then gone to the American League East and the National League East. That's like it so far. I would really, really like to get all these series against the Astros out of the way.
Yeah, no,
beginning of the season.
They finally helped the Mariners a little bit. We finally go at Texas and at Houston. So we actually get to stay in Texas. So that's not a lot of travel after Baltimore. And then we're home for a lot of days. We're home from the 10th to the 19th.
Here's one for you, Jewell. This is the last thing, and we want to talk about 3 up, 3 down for this month. The last thing right here. The last time the Mariners play the Astros is July 1st.
Yes. No, we have a really good end of season schedule too.
Really favorable. It's been really tough. That's part of the reason with the struggles is because it's been a tough schedule to start the season. You go into Boston, you're almost like, okay, finally get a reprieve, but then Boston immediately figures things out when Seattle comes to town. Trevor Story remembers how to hit the baseball, and now Boston is on an absolute tear. They're playing really well right now. And it just happened to be it was when Seattle came to town. So
we just so happen.
I am going to chalk it up to a tough schedule and a lot of injuries. Okay, we have 3 good things and 3 bad things each that we want to share with you listeners this month with our baseball family. Jewell, why don't you go ahead? Let's start with our 3 down, so we can end up on a positive note with our 3 ups. So go ahead and give me your first down.
Okay, my first down is we only have one player currently who is on pace for more than 30 home runs.
Yeah.
One player on pace for 30 or more home runs, and only one on pace for 25 or more.
So on pace, I would think at this point,
who's our 30?
Our 30, I mean, Suarez is leading the team in home runs, but he had a lot of those really early. Is it him or is it Julio?
Suarez is currently on pace for 32.
So. Okay.
And then our 25
is Julio, right?
No.
Is it Ty France?
It's Ty France.
Okay.
Julio's currently on pace for 21.
He's going to hit way more than that.
He will. He absolutely will. Toro was on pace before he got injured for 18. JP and Raleigh are on pace for 15. And then this is really bad. This is like the bad here of this bad. Winker's only on pace for 7 home runs.
Jesse Winker is an anomaly. I'm gonna say it right now.
7 home runs.
He is an absolute anomaly because this is the thing, is I assumed that Jesse Winker was going to come into this season and be a home run hitter, but that's not what he is. Jesse Winker is an OPS guy. He is a doubles guy. He gets on base. I like that.
316. Hence why he got moved to the top of the order, because he has the best eye in baseball.
He does. And that's exactly why he led off in Cincinnati too. His second highest batting average in the position in the order in the batting lineup, the batting order, is leading off. That is Jesse Winker. He is a leadoff hitter, which is strange because he's not fast. And he's big. He's a big dude. Like, he's really tall. How old is Winker? He's 6'3", so he's taller than what you'd expect a leadoff hitter to be. But he does a great job working in the count, and he gets on base.
That's a big thing. He works the count. A pitcher that has to start the game against Winker not only has to worry about the power if they're right-handed, they also have to worry about his great eye. So that's a bad point to Winker this season, is that, the power hasn't been there, but there's a lot of good with him as well. So that's my first bad.
It's like I said, with Winker, like, get on base. That's all I care with him, because he's got Ty France batting behind him at 2, and then he's got Julio batting behind him at 3, right?
And then,
I'd rather take a 2-run home run than a leadoff solo.
Absolutely. Give Ty France, who can drive runners in top 3 in the baseball clip. So yeah. So I have his batting order position. So his batting average, leading off, he's led off in 118 games. Started at 117 a leadoff position. He hits 292. Next is second in the order, again 292, and that's starting 94 games there. Batting third, he started 58 games, hits 221, 211 in fourth. And he hasn't really started many games at fourth. Fifth is 366, but that's only started 36 games there. So that's a small sample size. Yeah. So you want him 1 or 2 for him to be. Yeah, you want him at the top of the order to get the most out of them. Which, hey, I'll take it. But that's my first bad, is that the power numbers aren't there. They weren't there last year, but
right.
Oh, they were, because Seager and Haninger
what's funny,
were smashing.
Though, really quick about the power numbers, though, is the power numbers are down across the league altogether. The Yankees lead the league with 65. The Mariners have 52 total going into Sunday, and they're in the top half. The Mariners are in the top half of the league. So the power numbers are down all around the league this year. So
numbers.
I was feeling really bad. I was feeling really bad about it, because there are teams that are like top heavy with home runs. But the thing is that the Mariners hit home runs top to bottom just about.
Yeah, they
except
do.
for Luis Torrens, because he hasn't hit any this year, so he just needs to. Anyway, speaking of Luis Torrens, that's going to be my first bad. I'm going to go with the catching position, just in general. It's a black hole in the batting order right now. Cal Raleigh is starting to look like he's going to pull out of it, or is starting to pull out of it.
I think so.
And I sure hope so, because, man, it has been bad news bears. Like, the catchers have been batting 8-9 for a long time now, and I'm sure they will continue to be because it is so bad.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would absolutely yearn for Tom Murphy to come back from the IL. And I maintain that the best move the Mariners can make before the trade deadline is
Wilson Contreras.
Trading some prospects for Wilson Contreras.
Absolutely.
It needs to happen.
Absolutely.
And if it doesn't, they need to throw a whole bunch of money at him during the offseason because he's going to be a free agent. And that's that's a position the Mariners need to fill if they're going to win the World Series.
Or, even maybe not for the bat, but for the glove and for the way you can call game, like a Roberto Perez from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I'll even take because, that's my next bat is, the defense hasn't been great.
Oh, man.
They're 7th in the AL in errors.
Mm-hmm.
Suarez, Raleigh, and Frazier each have 3. JP has 6.
Yeah. Wait, didn't he have 2 in one game a couple weeks ago?
He did, yeah. So he has 6. So the defense has been overall bad, but especially really Raleigh with 3, you can't have your catcher erring at all.
Yeah.
Your catcher has to be fundamentally solid, and Raleigh's known for his defense. So
that's what I was gonna say.
Which is ironic, but he's struggling with the bat, which then leads to struggles with the glove, which then leads to struggles calling games, and it's all tied together.
It is all tied together. Yep. Yeah, it's been bad. Ty France has mostly been really, really good. There were a couple times, a couple weeks ago, he dropped the ball in foul territory, and I was like, "What just happened?" I was shocked that it happened because he doesn't do that.
No.
And he's been solid. He's been helping those guys out, but he can only do so much. If it's not within his reach, he can't save you guys.
No.
So there's that. And then Winker had one out in the outfield a couple weeks or a few days ago, and I was just like, oh my gosh, defense has not been good, which is weird because it's been a staple in Seattle for 2 decades now.
For forever, yeah. The defense has always been great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
But what's your next bad?
I'm gonna stay on the defensive side. I'm gonna go with the bullpen.
Okay.
So last year, going into the season last year, the very first Seattle Baseball Together podcast episode, I said I think that the 2 places this team is gonna struggle is it's gonna be the bullpen and depth. I'll get to that in just a minute. But the bullpen is looking this year like I thought it was going to look last year. That if that bullpen doesn't have a 2 to 3 run lead when they come in, there are going to be some issues. And that's the way it's been, especially Steckenrider. So Steckenrider is having an absolutely horrendous year. The worst of his career, which is saying something because he had a couple of bad years in Miami.
Yeah.
So he was in Miami for 3 years, and he had his ERA went up over 6 in 2019 in 15 games. He's pitched 16. He's appeared in 16 games this season, and his ERA was 5.65.
Yeah,
his home runs per 9 up, walks per 9 up, strikeouts per 9 down, strikeouts to walk ratio down. So all around, his WHIP up. All around, Steckenrider has been
bad.
Worse across the board and just been flat out bad. Yeah. I saw a graphic that somebody pulled off of Baseball Savant. They tweeted it out, and his command was absolutely non-existent.
Horrendous.
His changeups, he threw 3 changeups at the top of the zone, 1 fastball down at the bottom of the zone. I was like, those need to be flipped. That looked like a Photoshop graphic that was meant to slander Drew Steckenrider because it was absolutely opposite of what it should have been. So bad.
Yeah.
So I hope he can get his mind right, get everything back, get his command back, everything back while he's down in the minor leagues. But man, if not, the Mariners have got to figure something out.
Oh, absolutely.
With the bullpen because it's not been good. It is nice. I will say this with some positivity. I'll say that Penn Murphy, Munoz. I can't think of his first name right now.
Andres.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. Andres Munoz and Diego Castillo have been good. Castillo
Munoz, Murphy, Castillo started to flip the script.
He did, and you know what? I told you he looks miserable out there when he's pitching. But today on Sunday, I saw him smile.
What?
Yeah, Jewell, I saw Diego Castillo smile, and it made me very happy. So I was like, hey, he's having fun again. I was like, he's gonna get out of this inning, no problem. Then Sewald went out there, who was nails last year, is not nails, but has been relatively reliable this year.
Yeah.
Gave up a run on Sunday. But
yeah,
he's kind of gotten to be a 50-50 guy. But man,
he has been, which is hard coming out of the back of the bullpen and trying to lock down games.
Yeah, I think they've got to find somebody who can be the closer, because it's not Sewald this year.
There's a guy out there. He's a free agent. Figure out the PR later, but go get Roberto Ozuna.
Oh man, that's tough.
He's been pitching in Mexico. He's still good. He's very good.
Well, and Dallas Keuchel could come in and help with the back half of the rotation too.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be mad with that either.
I did see that Matt Brash is, when he comes back up, he's going to be in the bullpen. Yeah. I thought they put him in the bullpen in Tacoma specifically to get more work in, but they're converting him to a reliever, which I think could be really good.
Eddie Diaz, part two.
I'm telling you, man, 2 innings of that slider, and he is untouchable.
But it's very much Edwin Diaz, because when Edwin Diaz was at first in the system, he was being brought as a starter. Once he got to AA, they're like, no.
You throw too hard.
You throw too hard, you're going to the back of the bullpen. And now look at him. He's an all-star. Like, he's about to get paid a massive...
He's the man in New York. Yeah.
He is the man. And then, my last bat is that we miss Mitch Haninger's bat.
Yes, so much. That's my other thing is injuries.
Yeah, he played 9 games. Through those 9 games that he played, healthy, he was on pace for 54 home runs.
Don't tell me that, Jewell.
That's my bad. That's
so
my
bad.
Just heartbreaker bad.
Yeah. Because that's my third bad is the injuries. Like, a lot of people are like, well, you can't make injuries be an excuse because everybody goes through injuries. It's like, well, yeah, but it gets to be a point where the injuries do become a problem, and that's why you're losing games.
Yeah.
Because Mitch Haninger, like, that's just straight up bad luck, right? That he caught his spike on his way out of the batter's box and rolled his ankle his first day back from being on the COVID list.
Yeah.
Like, oh, come on. And then now you got Kyle Lewis finally back from a knee injury that he sustained last year, a torn meniscus of all things, that people come back after like a couple weeks, that it's taken him a year to get back from.
Just because he's had so many other knee injuries, all the same knee.
Yes. And then it looks like he can only play 2 out of 3 games.
Well, he
got scratched today.
He did get hit. He did get that one off the shoulder, and then it hit his head. So I think it was more of a precaution. But
I hope so, because, man, I really worried. Like, I saw he got scratched. I was like, shoot, that knee doesn't hold up after 2 games of trotting around the bases. No, he never had to run.
They had him 3 games back to back, with 1 in the outfield in AAA.
Okay, all right, that makes more sense then.
So he did pass that test, because that was the big hurdle. They had to see him play 3 in a row. 1 in the outfield to make sure that he was healthy.
All right. Yeah, I saw that. And I think I'm buying into a little bit of Facebook negativity there. That people are like, oh, what's he doing on a big league roster if he can't? And I'm like, I understand, like, take it easy, right? But I was like, man, if he can't play 2 out of 3 days. But no, I forgot that he got hit on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that
but the injuries forced a guy like Jared Kelenic to have to play 30 games and struggle to a 140, 219, 291 slash. But a positive out of that is that he got to go back down to Tacoma, where he's played 11 games as of today. He's doing really well now. And he has a 348, 400, 652, 3 doubles, a triple, 3 home runs, and 9 RBIs. And he's having fun down there.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, I saw that today. I saw that from you and somebody else.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, because he didn't look like he was having fun last year until September when he was hitting. He's got to be able to continue to have fun when he's struggling so that he can pull out of the troubles.
He needs some of that Julio juice.
He does need some Julio juice. Because Julio, man, can I go into my first up real quick?
Absolutely.
Because Julio's attitude, positivity, everything I feel like is contagious.
Oh, right? 100%.
like he's the kind of guy, like he's one of those people where you would see him smiling and then be like, yeah, life is pretty good. Things aren't so bad, right? Like I really hope that like that can just go throughout the entire dugout. I feel like part of that came with Kyle Lewis because he's another guy who's always smiling, having fun.
Absolutely.
And yes, baseball is fun when you're that good at it.
Yeah.
Right? Everything is fun when you're that good at it. But at the same time, like they need to help those guys lighten up. So real quick, Julio has come into his own. Like I said before, it took him forever to hit his first home run, but he has not stopped since he hit that first home run. They've been coming in bunches. I hope they continue to come in bunches. And Jewell, you said on last month's episode that you predicted like as we signed off that Julio Rodriguez was going to be the favorite for the Rookie of the Year at the end of May. Well, I got this for you on FanDuel and WinBet. He's the betting favorite.
Yes. I told you.
FanDuel has him at plus 200. WinBet is plus 175.
Like it.
So you're like, that's almost a straight bet if you're putting money down on Julio for Rookie of the Year. DraftKings has him second at I think I saw 220. DraftKings is really weird with their futures bets.
I'm guessing he's behind Bobby Witt.
I don't think so. Oh no, it was Pena from
Houston. Okay, because Pena's good too. But those three, man, really those things are stud. So I actually have Julio also as mine, but a little bit different. So this is actually kind of a Julio and Kelenic thing. As of 45 games through the season. So yesterday, I pulled this, or 2 days ago, I pulled this. Julio's on pace for 46 stolen bases. As of today, he's on pace for 48 stolen bases. It went up.
He stole a base today.
Yeah, so he's on pace for 48 now. When Kelenic was up through his 30 games, he was on pace for over 20. So 2 20-20 guys, potentially. Mm-hmm. Because we know Kelenic can hit. So that's a big positive for me is that, we're looking at Julio possibly being a 40-40 guy.
I think he could be a 40-40 guy next year, honestly.
Absolutely. Because Acuna's there, same thing. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw something on Twitter, I think it was today. Somebody said, okay, we're past Julio Rodriguez for Rookie of the Year. We're on to Julio Rodriguez for MVP.
Yeah, no, I actually put a Twitter poll out. Let me pull it real quick. Go ahead and do your next one while I pull my poll.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as far as like Julio MVP, like you you get plus 20,000 on that, plus 20,000 odds if you want to go ahead and put money down on Julio as MVP. So a $1 would give you 200. I considered it at one point earlier today. It's like, but then I looked at everybody else and I was like, no, it's not going to happen. So as much as I would like that to happen, it's not going to. But Anyway, all right. My next up is I have Ty France. Ty France has been everything we hoped he would be this season. He did have a little bit of a cold spell, but man, the dude has more hits than anybody over the last 162 games. And yes, I get it. You can cherry pick and be like, okay, as of today, 162 games ago, Ty France, right? But at the same time, 162 games is a considerable sample size and a full sample size, regardless of any time that you take it, because they do that with teams all the time.
It's consistent. It's not a Byron Buxton sample across 2 or 3 seasons. It's last year's, last 120 plus this year's first 48 or
42,
whatever.
But, yeah, no, I know what you're saying though. Yeah.
Like it's a spread across even. It's not chopped up. So that's the part that gets me is when it's chopped up.
Yeah. Well, it's like you have guys like Byron Buxton is a perfect example of it. Like, man, yeah, he averaged these numbers. He hit this, whatever, stole this many bases. But the dude played like 110 games for 5 years in a row.
Yeah. So you chop it
and so he was really good for those 110 games for those 5 years. But at the same time, like you're missing out on 52 games for the rest of the season that are crucial, especially in Minnesota in the AL Central.
Yeah. And it's the same. You can chop up Tatis's number the exact same way. His is very similar. Like he's great.
But
when he's
I will
on the
not
field.
stand for Fernando Tatis libel on this. There's still slander on this podcast, by the way. So
So my next one, my positive, is actually the signing of Justin Upton, which we didn't hit at the top. But we talked about this, but he's a 14-year vet. He's a 4-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger. He had success in both the AL and the NL. He was only 19 when the D-backs went to the NLCS in 2007. He's been to 3 division series at age 23, 25, and 19. And that piece is, honestly, that's huge for these Mariners, is having a guy who's now 10, 14 years later, who's been through it all. He's been through the All-Stars. He's been being the young guy who's been great. That's going to be huge for Julio. That's going to be huge for Kelenic. That's going to be huge for Kyle Lewis. The All-Star, the Silver Slugger, the playoff experience, the mentality, got the big money deal. How did he overcome that? Just all those things you just don't think about past the stats unless you're you do something like this all the time, as a normal fan. But that's honestly huge. That's why I think of it as a positive, because once he's around this club, and I don't care if he sits the bench or he pitch hits, he'll be a great pitch hitter. Because I see him as in those situations.
Situational pinch hitter will be outstanding.
But we did lose our situational pitch runner as Billy Hamilton opted out of his minor league deal.
No, he didn't. I saw today that didn't happen. He is still with the Rainiers.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
I saw yesterday.
Yeah, everybody thought he did, because that's what Divish reported. But they reached out to him and said, no, he's still with the team. He's still here. So, I saw that this afternoon. I was pretty pumped about that. So,
no, that's great. So I hope
he sticks around. I really hope he sticks around and we can have him up in September. I think you're absolutely right with Justin Upton. He's going to be a perfect veteran presence for that clubhouse. Could come in a big spot and be a good. I mean, if he comes in when we need a single and hits a single, it's worth it.
It's 100% worth it for a veteran minimum.
Yeah,
especially 1,000%. If he does it against the Angels, even better.
Oh yeah,
I feel like that's probably when that's when he's going to come up. We already know is that when the Mariners actually take on the Angels.
Next year.
Yeah, what it's going to feel like, goodness. But that's my prediction, is he comes up against when we eventually play the Angels. June 16th. I'm calling it right now. Justin Upton will be on the major league roster come June 16th.
Yeah, well, he's in extended spring right now, for those of you who don't know. So it's kind of an odd timeline, because they don't really have one, especially for a guy who signed a big league contract. That's really weird to me, that it's just whenever you're ready, we'll help you get stretched out. The dude wasn't ready to go. Did he want to play baseball, or is it because they came to him and were like, we'll pay you money to come be in our clubhouse and share positivity, bring positive vibes? That's what we need right now.
Yeah, go get your mind right, get your body right real quick, and then when you feel like you're mentally there from this movement, come join. We'll DFA anyone.
Mike Ford, please.
Mike Ford, probably. It would make sense.
I don't think they're going to DFA him. I think he's got another option left. I don't know for sure, but he might end up getting DFA'd if that's where he's at. Okay, my last up that I have is actually starting pitching. For a little while there, things were pretty grim, but Logan Gilbert, Chris Flexen, Marco Gonzalez, not sexy, very boring, all went 7 innings against the Astros and gave up a total of just 2 runs between the 3 of them.
Yeah, that was incredible. No, and my last one's actually pitching as well. You can look at this one either way, but the 162 game win-loss percentage for the pitching staff as of right now is exactly at 500 from Baseball Reference. They are exactly average.
This for the starting pitchers?
This is for the whole pitching staff.
Oh, the whole
everyone who's pitched for the Mariners this season through these games. The Mariners staff is as a whole is 16 runs above their replacement, which I would have to see where that ranks exactly, but Gilbert
is that WAR? Is the number WAR?
No, these are runs above replacements.
Oh, okay.
So Gilbert is obviously leading the Mariners with 14. Penn Murphy's at 6. while you have guys like Brash and Castillo who are negative in that category, but Castillo has gone from, when I first looked this up, from a -8 to a -5.
That's good. He's headed in
But
the
it
right
also
direction.
shows we're really missing a guy like Swanson who can lock down the 6th or 7th and hold the game.
And Sadler,
he was
too.
at +5. Robbie Ray is only at +2. Rome was at +3. Sewell +4. And this is one guy that I'm really surprised hasn't been back in the bullpen with the struggles, is Justice Sheffield.
Go ahead, sorry.
He had a 3.57 FIP, a 0.0 ERA, and a +2 runs above replacement, and that's in 4.2 innings pitched, which is a small sample, but he's been better than some of the other guys we have brought up over him. Like, he's better than your average replacement right now.
Yeah, he is. I think, was it you or did I see it on Twitter somewhere? Somebody said that Sheffield is still down in AAA because they want to stretch him out to return to the starting rotation, which I am vehemently against.
Yeah,
by the way,
we just don't need it, which doesn't make sense because you have Kirby, you have Brash, you have.
Well, Brash. I mean, not Brash anymore. Apparently,
well, not Brash anymore, because I think. I mean, we kind of alluded to it, but I think he could be Edwin Diaz, the next Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, I agree with you. The other thing too, though, is that I think once Emerson Hancock's ready to go, do you think? I mean, do you think they'll bring him up?
So where is Hancock right now? He's in.
I want to say he's in Arkansas, right?
I think he's with Low A Arkansas. So he's still in Low A because I don't think he's with Everett yet.
Arkansas is AA.
Oh, I'm thinking Modesto. My bad.
Yeah. I can't remember where he's at right now. I'm looking right now though. But no, and he's coming back from an injury, so it could be a while. It could be a while before we see him. He is in AA with the Arkansas Travelers right now.
So he's at that mile. He's at that stop. He's at the test.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
So we could see him later this year if it's necessary. I don't know that we necessarily will for sure. MLB.com has, like, on their prospect pipeline, has his ETA as next year.
Yeah, but that would make sense for late season, for September for Hancock.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, unrelated. Do you know who else has an ETA of next year?
Is it Nolve?
Yeah.
Or Ford?
No, Marte.
Which doesn't make sense because he's only at high A still.
I know. I think they're projecting that he's going to finish the season at AA. That's what Julio did.
I mean, that would make sense. I mean,
Harry Ford, they're saying 2025, and that's why I think you bring in Wilson Contreras for a few years, give him a 5-year contract.
Yeah, and then when Ford's ready, he'll be up in 2024 latest. He's too talented. Probably. They can't hold that kid back. Yeah. But I think he'll be up end of 2023, end of next year possibly.
Maybe, I don't know.
That's, I mean,
if he really shreds in the minor leagues, maybe. And I could see them wanting to, because you want to get as much mileage as you can out of those.
But we also don't want another Mike Zunino.
Right. Or Cal Raleigh.
Pushed way too fast. We push our catchers way too fast.
Because we need it. The team needs it so bad. But
yeah, that's true.
But anyway, sorry, we digress. Back to starting pitching just real quick before we start wrapping up here. So I was looking ahead to the schedule here. And so we have Robbie Ray going. I believe Robbie Ray is going on Tuesday. And then George Kirby on Wednesday against the Orioles. And I was curious what the ballpark factors are looking like for Camden Yards these days, given that new thing that they have out. Yeah, Creative Park they have out in left field. And Camden is now a pitcher-friendly park. I feel like the Mariners can do really, really well. That's perfect for Robbie Ray, perfect for George Kirby. Obviously, they're pitchers. But I think given their struggles recently, pitching in a pitcher-friendly park is going to be good for them. And the offense can find those alleys. They'll be fine. They're going to score runs, especially against the Orioles pitching. I mean, come on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But they still will be a thorn.
They're going to be a thorn. Yeah, they're going to be a thorn for the entire season for everybody. And it's ridiculous. It's a problem. But everybody's gonna have to deal with it because there are teams like that every single year. I thought the Royals were going to be that this year, but they don't appear to be.
No, they don't appear to be anything. And I thought the Tigers would be more competitive too.
I did too. I have money on them to win the division. And I can't cash it out.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm just like, what happened to these teams? Like,
yeah.
But
it's weird. It's weird. Before we wrap up here, real quick, Jewell, what do you see from the Mariners in June? Are you seeing like 2-3 games over 500 for the month, or is it going to be like an awesome month? They're going to get 6-7 games over 500. This is just for the month.
Oh, I kind of want to put this poll out on Twitter now for Mariners verse, but I honestly think that they could end. I'm taking 4-5. I don't want to shoot 2-3 because that feels low with just kind of what we're seeing right now, especially against the Astros, who have been great. And I honestly think Jesse Winker gets back to a positive WAR atop the lineup. He's currently at a -6 WAR or -5 or 0.5.
Yeah.
Which improved again. Yeah. I originally looked it up on 523. And I looked it up again on 527. He went from a -0.6 to a -0.5. And that's right when he started at top of the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he's going to continue to improve. I think they've got him in his good spot. There's certain guys. It's weird. Like anybody who's played understands that there are certain spots where you feel more comfortable. I hit leadoff a couple times and I hated it. I did horrible batting leadoff. You dropped me down to like 4
I like batting at the end of the order.
Do you?
Oh, I love batting at the end of the order because I was a pitcher.
Oh yeah, there you go. I felt like I was waiting all day if I bat at the end of the order.
I love batting at the end of the order.
I like to be in the middle, preferably. That was my spot.
Coach, bat me 8th. I'm good.
I'm gonna looking at the schedule in order: Baltimore, Texas, Houston, Boston, Minnesota, Angels. Dude, there's like 5 games against the Angels in a row, and they are driving the struggle bus right now.
They have lost
come crashing down.
They have crashed hard. They all need CPR in their bats.
They do, except for today. They just lost a slugfest today. But then you've got Oakland, and then you got the Angels again, and then you've got the Orioles, the A's again, and then a couple against the Padres, Toronto, the Nats, the Rangers, and then the Astros, and then finished up the month.
And then the Blue Jays have also crashed back down to earth.
Well, they've been good recently, but I think it's because they're playing against the Angels the last couple of days. So I don't know. It's one of those interesting things where timing plays a big factor in it. But
Agreed.
I'm gonna predict, Jewell. I'm gonna predict the Mariners end July. Wow, I went all the way through July just now. Speaking of which, I'm gonna say the Mariners end June 5 games over 500 for the month.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm gonna take the +4. I'm gonna stick with the +4. That feels safe to me.
So, but for the record, that means there's still going to be 2 games with mine. That means there'll still be 2 games under 500 going into July.
Which, I can, with the way, just kind of with baseball and these teams that are crashing and no one surged really in May, across the board. Like there wasn't a big surge. There was more regression, if anything.
Right. Boston started to win, but they're still under 500.
Yeah, Boston's probably the one team that surged. New York Yankees stay consistent. The Mets stay consistent, but everyone else kind of just played through May.
Yeah, nothing remarkable. So the Mariners are still in it, 9 games out of the AL West right now. And I'm gonna say I'm okay with that, with the way that they've played and the way the Astros have been playing recently. The Astros started off poorly, but they're 29-18 now. Sorry, they're 30-18 because that hasn't updated yet today.
Yeah.
So they're a really good team, just like we thought they would be. They're going to win the division, but the Mariners are going to be in the wild card race, and that's where you need to be.
That's where I want them in. That's where I want them in July. A strong June gets us right back there for July.
Yep, exactly right. That is exactly right. But before we get out of here real quick, don't forget to jump on 9plusus.com like we talked about earlier. You can get lots of Seattle baseball stuff, including Not Sexy, our nod to Marco Gonzalez. And if you click the link in the description of every episode of the Seattle Baseball Together podcast, it will take you directly to a page on baseballtogether.com where you can shop. Click the image. It will take you to the product, choose your size, buy it, and then use code CPOD, SEAPOD, at checkout, and that will give you 15% off your order. Jewell, plug your blog for us.
So I'm going to plug the blog. So theballboyblog.com, ballboyblog.com, whichever you want to search. You'll find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the website itself. You'll also see, if you check my Twitter bio, that I have started a new adventure with Northwest Sports Desk. I'm their beat writer for the local Tri-City Dust Devils, where I live. 3 beat pieces have gone out. It's been a lot of fun. I'm should be attending in the next couple weeks my first game as a media member ever in my life.
It's a different world, Jewell. It's a lot of fun.
And I am pumped. And I'll also be helping the Mariners beat writer for the Northwest Sports Desk as well. So
sweet.
Right on. More Mariner stuff. So
right on. Well, baseball family, thank you again for joining us for this month of therapy on the Seattle Baseball Together podcast, and we will catch you next month.